Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese, and welcome to November. We had 3 character Chinese expressions in October, and I enjoy it so much that I decided to do one more month about it. So 3 character in comparison to the 4 character expressions are more fun, more lighthearted, and in a lot of sense, they're more contemporary. They are Chinese, this ancient cultural language response to contemporary situations. Like today's expression, 控制欲 means controlling. So this concept, this idea about controlling one person control another is a contemporary concept. Chinese have this habit to show tribute and respect and almost like blindly following their parents because we respect the older people, the senior people, people who hold the wisdom, who already spent decades on the planet Earth and accumulate understanding and hacks, so to speak. And then we want to follow their already tried and true advice. So that's like a lot of times unquestionably following. And but this controlling, this 控制欲 concept of that is kind of a counter. It's like, what do you mean I can make up my own choice? Like my parents is controlling me. Well, that's a Western imported concept of one person to another person, regardless of what kind of relationship that is. And of course, most often occurring is parent-child, this power, quote unquote, power imbalance, right? One is dependent on another person. So that's an easy setting for this controlling mechanism to happen. Okay, let's go one by one. Control, 控制欲, this 控 made of 5-finger hand symbol, and we talked about that before, of the middle finger got bended toward the right as a differentiator to a similar looking but totally different meaning character, means hair. And that one have this extra stroke bended toward the left. That left bending similar structure is hair. So this one is hand. So this control means something about the hand, right? And then the right side sounds 空, and 空 actually means empty. So it just occurred to me this empty could came from this ancient shelter building effort. Because, okay, before we have our housing is a recent thing, relatively recent thing. We live in a cave, right? Hence the caveman. So when living in a cave, even the cave sometimes need a touch up. It's not naturally habitable. So this ancient engineers or craftsmen would come in to empty out or to shape the cave in a certain way that's habitable for humans. So there are 2 parts of it. The top part, which is kind of an arch with a chimney, kind of a human shelter definition, with a chimney in there, have to have a kitchen, right? And then the left and right here means kind of an air tunnel, air, kind of a ventilation in the cave, because that's a prerequisite for human to live in there, right? It has to be, the air has to be able to come in and out. So that signifies that. And then the bottom, the 2 horizontal lines connected by a vertical line, and they are perpendicular. And it's an ancient craftsman's tool to measure if everything is perfectly perpendicular. So you can see the right angles formation over there. So that's the ancient, we can imagine like a house building. You cannot afford to have the wall not perpendicular to the ground, right? That will be trouble. So that's the first requirement. You have to build a building directly stacked up against the gravity. Otherwise, things are going to collapse. So this tool symbolize engineering, right? Symbolize like a human building or making efforts in there. And then the result is a cave with ventilation, is habitable with a chimney, with a kitchen embedded. So that's the whole character on the right side actually means emptying. So it just clicked to me. This means this effort to empty out the cave so that it has more space inside, more human habitable. Okay, so this empty concept plus the human hand actually in ancient times, it means a whole new different thing. It means you open or draw the bow and arrow, right? So so you're drawing a bow, you open the bow to create the tension so the arrow can get ready to have the momentum to go to shoot out, right? So this opening the bow effort is viewed as, okay, it's a maneuver by hand, so hand symbol, and the right side empty. Empty means you're kind of emptying out the space between the string and the bow structure, right? If you ever draw the archery, so the space between the string and the front structure, I don't even know what it's called. So the bow is kind of narrow, so you want to empty out, create that space between the string. It gets taut and tauter, right? And then you release, then the arrow shoot out like that. So this maneuver of emptying, of drawing, like opening the bow, then extend it into control, because we can imagine, right, in ancient times, what kind of body control would be a good indicator of control is the shooting the arrow, because archery, to make it to shoot at your enemy accurately, right? It's kind of like practicing gun shooting, right? In today's age, the police, whoever need to use the gun as their everyday tool, they want to be really good and accurate, right? Because that's life and death situation. So arrow shooting is the ancient equivalent of gun shooting. So they have to practice to have accurate control of where, when the arrow goes out, right? Better be accurate, otherwise you're going to be shot, right? So this type of high risk or this type of control, opening the bow, then used to mean the control, body control. So in this context, it means one person control another person, but originally it means human control the tool, specifically the bow and arrow, so that it can shoot accurately. So that a human to tool kind of control then transferred to this human to another human type of control. Okay, cut, we have the knife symbol on the right and the future symbol on the left. What do you mean by future? Okay, the left actually means it came from the tree symbol, which got the canopy, so upward pointing thing. You can almost look like, this looks like a tree, right? The canopy of the tree. And then the bottom arch thing, it means the root of the tree. Only a tiny little trunk, but it's not really realistic rendering. And maybe it's realistic. It depends on how you view at the scale, right? If the ground level is here, the tree goes deep and the canopy goes tall, it could be the trunk is just a small segment in between. So originally the tree symbol doesn't have the second layer of the convex or concave shape. I think it's a convex, okay. But once the language add this extra layer of the convex shape, that means the canopy is really growing or outgrow its original setting. It's out the norm. The norm would be just one layer to signify, okay, there are canopies over there. But if there are two of them, means like overgrown. So overgrown tree means it's an older tree, and an older tree means the future tree. So eventually this character means the future. And then future have a knife next to it. I wonder if that's ancient practice of when the tree grow to a certain outgrowing canopy stage, that's a signal for people who are maintaining that forest to cut it. Like that's a signifier. That's the moment to cut. So we have the tool to cut, and we have the tree ready to be cut. Like only grow to a certain stage, then that's a type of tree you're meant to cut. Okay, I don't know about the forest management, but from here we deduce that, and that together means cutting or logging specifically. So we have this cut. So first one is control. It's the bow control. It means accuracy, right? And the cut, it's almost like, I mean, cut the tree, that's like a kill the tree almost equivalent, right? So cut is almost like hurting the tree or ending the life of tree. So it's, in a way, it's severe. It's more severe than control. Control will release the bow, and the bow is still there unharmed, and you just control the tension. But a cut is a kind of a permanent shaping of the tree. So the cut in here, 空 and 治 kind of a permanent change something, and it's the ultimate shape of something. So it's a strong force, a strong-handed formation of things. So 控制 together means control. In Chinese, 控制 we have 自动化控制, so automatic control. So 控 and 治 combine together to give the sense of you have control. Either it's programmed to function in a certain way, so it becomes automatic, or it's, in this case, it's human to human. It's like you tell somebody to do something, that's control, that's 控. And 治, if they don't do it, you cut it. You have this supreme power of another person. So that's 控制. Okay. 喻 is a little bit complicated. Okay, on the right side, there is a human figure, 2 legs standing being, and then there are 3 strokes on top of the kind of the top of the figure. So that means yawning. Means the hot air coming out of somebody is doing this. And there's a 3 just means recurring air going out of that person. So that's yawning. I don't know about it in the West, but in China, when I grew up, when people yawn, we tend to do this thing. So that creates the airflow like that. I don't know if that's a thing here. Okay, so the left side is 谷, it means the beginning, okay, the water flow in ancient times. Before we have huge civil engineering project like build a dam. So how you think ancient people get their water? They get it from natural waterways, right? And so water, I guess, was closely observed by the ancient civilization because they need to know their water source so they can know where they can station their tribe. They have to scout out the water situation over there. So here depicts this type of water that's before it forms a river. It's kind of a trickling through in a mountain. And so it's kind of a spring formation. So this left and right, you can almost view it like this little splash of water. It's just a little bit of water. It's not continuous water yet. It's just trickling, tiny little amount of water. And then This probably is another structure that shows there's some space in between, just like this big arch thing, but there are gaps in between them. And then this is the mouth symbol. Mouth symbol, a lot of times it means human mouth, but in this case, it's not human mouth there. It's more like a water spout. So the waterways, before they form streams or creeks even, there's trickles of water, but still when they gather, they will flow out of some opening on the ground. So this signifies that opening, and this whole thing, 古 means the beginning of journey of visible water. I guess that's the things useful for human survival, and so that's created into the culture, and then eventually that character means valley. So I guess valley as the lower ground tend to be the gathering place for water, right? Water flow from high ground to low ground. So when it comes to valley, it's where water are going to flow. That's where probably agriculture are going to happen. So we have this yawning on the right side, and the water formation at the beginning stage. So white together, it means clivicity. Okay. Clivity, okay, I call it a clivity, but originally it means desire. Just want to make a alliteration here. Control, cut, clivity. It sounds more serious, right? Okay, so this desire basically is a kind of clivity, means a tendency for somebody tend to do something. So yawning in Chinese, actually, 切, that means not having enough. I don't know why yawning means not having enough. Actually, there is a logic jump over there, but this whole thing eventually means not having enough. And then the left side is the beginning of the water formation. And so to me, that seems like an indicator of what's the future is going to be like. Because then the bigger waterways are going to be formed, and then eventually everything gathered together, become a bigger river. And that just shows the very beginning of this waterway formation. And this very beginning, plus this not having enough or lacking, both together give us the sense of clivity, of something is building up. It's going to happen because you're not having enough of something, and you are just at the beginning of that water formation. And that becomes the Chinese definition of desire or tendency. That's that if you see someone have such a tendency or clivity, you know something else consequentially or sequentially going to happen. It's predictable in a sense. So control, cut, clivity together, it means controlling. And here is an illustration of in the Chinese context. We all know Asian parents. They almost become a Chinese parents, especially. I'm not going to say Asia. I don't know about other countries, but at least Chinese parents, especially since the one-child policy. So only one child. That's your only one chance to raise the second generation to your ideal. Your means the parents' ideal. So Chinese parents, even in ancient times, right? Ancient times, they have multiple children. And then still, like parents in China have the authority. I mean, in Western as well, but probably more so in China because we are ancient ancestor worshipping culture over there. And so parents almost like naturally comes with this authority. And when they have authority, and when the personal boundary concept was very like non-exist or super weak, the child even become a grown man, like have a suitcase signify that's already a career man, right? Supposed to be a man, independent, make their own decisions. That the parents still cannot let go of the control. They still want to make decision for the child, where to go to school, 上学, where to go to work, 工作, and who they're going to date, 找对象, dating, and who they're going to marry, 结婚, and when they're going to have a child, childbearing, 育儿. So how they're going to raise their child, they're going to have long casting shadows on this child's development. So that is kind of a typical. I think things probably are changing, but that's from my observation when I come across the other side of the globe, and I realize, realize like Chinese parents are really controlling. They are the ultimate, tiger mom or Asian parents. All that label didn't come in vain. Even if like case by case families are different, but overall tendency you can see that it's like they feel like the parents feel justified. They have the authority. They have the power to do. Therefore, they want to control. They want to make sure things are going right the way they perceive as the right. Okay, so that's 控制与 controlling. Catching your currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you next.